The St. Louis Blues had a 5-1 victory over the Toronto Maple Leafs, and this team is up to something special.
You're Locked On Blues, your daily podcast on the St. Louis Blues. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And welcome back to Locked On Blues. I'm your host of Locked On Blues, Haley Taylor Simon, talking to you all things about our St. Louis Blues here in the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. It is Friday, October 25th, and the Blues just came off of that huge victory over Toronto, so we're going to talk about that. Also, the Blues' identity conversation is going to be one that I'm going to bring up again because I think I have something really cool to add to it. And my favorite Friday segment, you already know, Are We Feeling Blue? Was this a good week or a bad week for the St. Louis Blues? I think you know the answer to that one, but I always enjoy the positive Are We Feeling Blues segments. So looking forward to that ahead of today's episode. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Place your first $5 bet, and you'll get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. The Blues had a 5-1 victory over the Toronto Maple Leafs last night, and it was such an incredible game, an incredible win. I rewatched the game today, and I was in awe of our players. I think that Sundqvist looked good. Scott Perunovich looked good on D. And there wasn't one bad thing I could say about any of our guys last night. I was extremely proud of this team win. Yes, it was a team win. That's how the best games are, because you guys have seen just a bunch of players excel. I mean, you had Jordan Binnington, who made 40 saves last night. Are you kidding me? 40 saves in net. And again, I talked about Binner in yesterday's episode of Locked On Blues heading into the game. And I said, despite the losses he had this season, he is still one of the best goalies in the NHL. And without a doubt in my mind, Binner, he's going to be the starting goalie for Team Canada and face the nations. He's probably, if there was an all-star game again, would be one of the all-stars. I am just so high on Jordan Binnington just because it's early in the season, right? And he's still making incredible saves. Like, it's already the halfway point of the season. Like, he is such a special guy to have between the pipes. And again, I think having Joel Hofer as his backup is really a move that this organization made because they complement each other so well. Last year when I spoke to Jordan Binnington in person, I did mention, I'm like, hey, what's it like, being able to kind of mentor Joel Hofer in a way? And he said how Hofer, he's incredibly smart, great hockey IQ, and a good guy to teach, and he gets the game. So clearly, between the two guys, there is a lot of respect. At least that Binnington, I'm sure Hofer does, so I didn't get to talk to him, but that Binnington has for Joel Hofer. So wanted to point that one out to you. However, last night's win, it wasn't just about Jordan Binnington saving 40 out of 41 shots on goal. It was also about, the new guys. So I'm going to read to you the goal scorers and who gave the assists and secondary assists. And we're going to talk a little bit about it because I was extremely excited to announce that in the first period of play, Philip Broberg was able to get the Blues on the board with 4 minutes into the contest. And he was assisted by Jordan Kyrou with the feed, and then Pavel Bushi with the secondary. Then about 6 minutes later, Dylan Holloway on the power play was able to give the Blues a 2-0 lead with an assist by Brandon Saad. So you're telling me in the first period of play that Philip Broberg and Dylan Holloway both scored. Now, I'm going to continue on, and maybe one of them scored later on. Hint, hint, hint. But yes, the two former Edmonton Oilers lighting it up. And I have to tell you, I put out a tweet and I said, I bet Oilers fans are crying. If you look at points, I believe under McDavid, if Broberg and how he was playing, like, if this is going to be so confusing. Basically, with points that the Philip Broberg has right now, he'd be second under McDavid in points on the Edmonton Oilers. So I'm sure Oil Nation is definitely seeing this and feeling a little bit frustrated just because these are two young guys that were their two young prospects. They get dealt these offer sheets, and now they're absolutely killing it here in St. Louis. I mean, if any of that, like if somehow like somebody took Jake Neighbours from us, right? And he was killing it, like I would be jealous. I'd be like, okay, this sucks. So I am really happy that those guys are exceeding. But that's not the only Blues player that made some noise. How about Texier getting his first goal wearing the blue note? So Ekman Larson, he did score in the second period about 6 minutes in, giving the Leafs some life, cutting into a 1-goal game. However, like a minute later, not even, Texier was able to score with Jordan Kyrou with the feed and then Bushi with the secondary. So Bushi actually played a really good game. Third period of play, Jake Neighbours, 3 minutes in, was able to get his third goal of the season and assisted by Captain Braden Shen. And then finally, in an empty netter, Dylan Holloway was able to get the Blues' fifth goal of the game with a feed from Justin Folk. I want to talk about Jake Neighbours for a second because remember, he wasn't having that good of a start of a season. You know, he looked slow. He wasn't scoring. Nothing was going right for Jake Neighbours. And now he is like a scoring machine. Now, granted, it's only been 3 goals, but I feel like that's 1 goal a game since he said that he needed to begin playing better and he felt like it was coming. Jake Neighbours is one of my favorite players. I think he always looks so good on the ice when he's on it, right? When he was looking a little bit off, you know, that first week, I wasn't panicking. You're getting back into the swing of motions again, and it happens. Players are not going to always look their best immediately. However, I was really excited for Jake just because it was one of those things where I'm like, oh my gosh, Jake Neighbours back at it again. So I was really happy to see that from him. But overall, I mean, the Blues just look like a good team. They look like a strong team, especially taking on the Toronto Maple Leafs. They both have the same amount of points, right? So it was one of those things where, yeah, it essentially it was just a really good game last night, and I was incredibly happy. So I'm happy that Sonny played last night again. It's so good seeing him back on the ice. And yeah, Bannister did speak on Jordan Kyrou with his 2 assists. He's a team first player right now. He's playing team hockey. I was impressed with his game last night. I just think he's playing team hockey. He wants to win hockey games and is doing whatever it takes right now to win hockey games. And you saw that especially on Philip Broberg, right, and how he feeded it. I mean, Jordan Kyrou, he's sneaky with the puck. He was able to bring the puck down the boards, turn it around again, and lose the Leafs and was able to feed it to Broberg. So you saw a lot about that when it came to how he played in that sense. But I think overall, right, when it comes to how the Blues have been looking in a sense, they're able to find those wins. Now, again, Bannister did speak on Sundqvist. I thought Sonny was great. I thought he was outstanding for a guy that's been off as long as he has, not having training camp. It was a great effort. Braden Shen then said, it looks like he didn't miss a beat, right? Just right from the get-go, winning battles, hard on the forecheck, hand in his own end, hard at his own end, tough to play against. One thing, Sonny is always a gamer, and he showed up tonight, and he gave us a good boost. So I'm happy about that. I mean, at the end of the day, like this team is just so impressive. Holloway said, I thought it was unreal. He was and this is on Broberg. I thought it was unreal. He was humming that first goal. I love the cutbacks. His feet were moving in all the right places. You could just tell that he was juiced up. So, I mean, Binnington, hometown guy, right, in Toronto. Like, I still can't get over how he played. But just, you know, Philip Broberg's goal, all of it. I love how this team complements each other and they talk about each other in such, you know, positive, respectful ways. I mean, this is a hockey team that truly does have passion. And you see that passion. And this goes on to my conversation with the Blues' identity because I want to talk about that. I feel like talking about a team's identity is really important because it's something that we're all trying to figure out. And I have some thoughts on that one. But first, I'll tell you about my friends over at Prize Picks. You can now win up to 100 times your money on Prize Picks with as little as 4 picks. So Prize Picks invented the flex play, which means that you can still cash out if your lineup isn't perfect. You can double your money even though your picks don't hit. So Prize Picks is a community each week, and it puts its members first. So with all withdrawals are fast, safe, and secure. When the picks hit, you can get your money back in as quickly as 15 minutes. So sign up today and get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. PrizePicks also offers weekly promotions that can lead to big payouts like Taco Tuesday. Each Tuesday, PrizePicks discounts select player projections up to 25% to provide even more value for your lineups. Just think, if Justin Jefferson will get more than 83.5 yards next week, or Christian McCaffrey will run for more than 75.5 yards. You can cook up hot takes with your friends and win real money this football season. So make sure to check out Prize Picks for that. Personally, football season is the best time ever to draw up those crazy picks. So this is what you need to do. You need to download the app today and use code LOCKEDONNHL to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Again, download the app today and use code LOCKEDONNHL to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. And that is Prize Picks. The Blues have an interesting identity, and this is a conversation I've had with numerous people of all different types of, hockey background, of fans of other teams. When they ask me, they say, Haley, who are the St. Louis Blues? I call them the comeback kids, right? In the beginning of the season. I mean, it's still the beginning of the season, but I call them the comeback kids. Now I have a new name for them. The Fast and Furious. And not just because of the movie, but because when the Blues are on the ice and they're cooking, they are cooking. They are moving and they're able to produce. They're able to take quick shots, which I like to see. Now, yes, granted, do I think the Blues did that in all their games, maybe against the Jets? No, they did not. They did not at all. However, when they do get hot, they are fast and furious. But again, the game against the Jets, it does bother me in a sense. But I mean, they still hung in there. The Jets are the only undefeated team in the NHL, winning 7 in a row, which I hope just doesn't continue, because the Central is actually a very tough division right now, and I don't like it. However, I do think that the Blues are on this kind of like hot streak, even though they're not in the midst of a winning streak. What I mean by hot streak is the guys that they need to produce are producing. Robert Thomas is out. That sucks. The Blues are taking a big hit to that. However, the identity of this team seems to be relentless. I mean, they are just putting in the work that they need to put in. And you have to give them the credit. You have to give them the respect, because that's not an easy task to do, especially when you are missing your star player. I think that when Coach Bannister said, hey, this team needs to step up, they have been doing that, and even more so. But going back to what I was saying, having an identity, I mean, it takes time, right? It takes time, but this Blues team is so exciting, and they're playing much better hockey. And I think the question too is this: do you think the Blues are a playoff contending team? I asked that last week. I didn't ask you this week, because my opinion on this is it is early. They've only played a handful of games. However, if they continue playing this way, how can you say no? How can you deny the fact that there is something special about the St. Louis Blues? I think that, again, you have the Canadians, you have the Senators, and you have the Flyers on this road trip. I'm not saying that I think they could sweep this trip. I think the Senators game actually might be a bit more challenging than anything, just because of the talent with Brady, and, they have Drew. They have good players on the Sens. I think they can beat the Habs. Not off to a good start, that team. The Flyers, I think that they could beat them. Not a good team. But again, it's just one of those things where you have the Maple Leafs. You're going against your former head coach who got you that Stanley Cup. and you're able to completely dominate that game. And I know I saw Chief last night yelling at some of the players on the bench, like Austin Matthews, and things were getting kind of heated. But I think at the end of the day, the Leafs, they have talent. They have great players. I wouldn't say they're a bad team because of the loss last night. I wouldn't. I mean, it's really difficult to say that any team in the NHL is that bad. Maybe like San Jose or, the Blackhawks even. But it's just difficult to say that teams this early on are bad. Now, I do want to talk about the Central Division for a sense because this makes me kind of nervous. So, leading the Central right now with 14 points, all 14 that they could get out of the 7 games, is the Jets. You have the Wild with 12 points, who are 5-2. You have the Stars, who are 6-2 of 12 points as well. And then you have the Blues, who are 5-3, who have 10 points. Those are your top 4 right now in the Central Division. I want to point out to you, too, nobody suspected the Blues or Wild would be in that top 4 at the end of the season. There's a lot of hockey left, right? We've only played 8 games out of like 82, so we have a lot of hockey. However, I look at teams maybe, for instance, like the Predators, who are 1-5. And I kind of laughed to myself a little bit because everyone was saying, oh, the Predators are going to be one of the best teams in the NHL. And I look at this and I'm like, okay, I know it's early and I respect how early it is. However, I just want to make the complete argument that sometimes getting off to a bad start can set the tone for your season. And that's where identity comes into play. And having a team that is strong from the very start can make all the difference in the world, right? I say this at the end of each season. Each point matters. Each game matters. The games now matter just as much as those games in March do. So there's no point in, I know no one's trying to get behind, but there's no point really in making excuses for being behind when these games are just as important. And you're going to have those losing streaks. You're going to have winning streaks. You're going to have all of it. And I want to take a look at the Pacific Division too, just to let you know how different the competitive nature is. The Flames have 11 points. The Kings have 10. The VGK have 9. And the Kraken have 9. With our 10 points, if you put us into that Central Division, we would be actually in second because the Flames only won 4 games. Therefore, the Kings are 4-2-2. So we would be ahead of them. And I just want to point that out. While we're sitting in 4th right now in the Central, you put us in the Pacific, boom, we're in that position. So, yeah, I just wanted to point that out. All right, speaking of pointing things out, FanDuel. Hey, NFL fans, you can start off the season with a big return on FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. You'll get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. So let's go talk a little bit about the NFL season and how you can win some money, because I like to win some money. Yesterday, to a surprise of my own, honestly, the Rams won and beat the Vikings. So I guess don't listen to me on that one. I was wrong, but I can admit that. However, Sunday, we have some games. They're really not good games this weekend, if I'm being for real. I mean, the games this weekend kind of suck. Maybe I'll look at that 4 or 5 slate with the Bills and Seahawks, and they're kind of 2 teams that are even with each other. And Seahawks are at home. I would take the Seahawks. The games this weekend suck. I'm going to say that for how it is. I mean, you have the Packers and Jags. You have the Cardinals and Dolphins, Jets and Patriots, Ravens and Browns, Eagles and Bengals, Colts and Texans, Titans and Lions, Falcons and Bucks, Saints, Chargers, Bills, Seahawks, Bears, Commanders, Chiefs, Raiders, Panthers, Broncos, Cowboys, 49ers, Giants, Steelers on Monday. Cowboys and 49ers might be a better game. Honestly, out of all those games, pretty even. I don't know. I hope both teams lose. But yeah, the NHL, like it happens sometimes where there's just weeks where it just sucks. It's not enjoyable. And yeah, so that's that. Are we feeling blue? Was this a good week or a bad week for the St. Louis Blues? Good in the sense that they won last night. Good in the sense of the effort I am seeing. Bad in the sense about Robert Thomas. Here's Coach Bannister speaking about Robert Thomas and what this means for the team.
Not the news you were hoping to hear this morning.
Yeah, unfortunate news for the team and for Robbie too. And the timing of it, I thought he played a great game last night up to the point of his injury. But I think it's a great opportunity for our team really to build as a team and once we get him back, whether it's 4 to 6 weeks or I think but it's important for us. Obviously we're going to need guys to step up in certain roles.
Yeah, so that happened this week. Robert Thomas is out for 6 weeks due to a fractured ankle. Again, those ankles don't just heal in 6 weeks, so he's dealing with probably ankle issues, like kind of how Torrey Krug is, but something different. Point is, yeah, Robert Thomas not playing, not good. So I am panicked about that. I'm very stressed about that, actually. So I guess that would make this week. It's not a good week because of Thomas, but it's a good week because of Sonny, the win last night, Binnington. I guess you could say it's a okay-ish week. If it wasn't for the star player of our team being injured and out, I would say it's a good week, but it's difficult. I know a lot of you were feeling the same amount of stress that I am feeling or the upsetness. Like there's just a lot, right? There was such promise about this team, and then when something like this happens to Thomas, it just messes things up. I thought Shenny played great last night on that first line, and he held his own. So, again, it's one game without Thomas so far. You have about 19 more of them left. We'll see how this team adapts and how they do. I wouldn't hold my breath and say this is going to be the best, streak of hockey the Blues are going to have just because they are missing Tommy. However, again, they need to step up and play as a team. And I think with Broberg and Holloway and Texier all getting goals last night, I know Neighbours did too. It's just a testament to how the team plays. You saw, Banny saying how Kyra's been playing, hockey for the team and not just him. So I feel like the team dynamic is more to play more than anything this season. However, it is just a little bit difficult for me to say, oh yeah, this was a great week when literally Robert Thomas is out. So yeah, I'm sorry, but I can't put myself in those shoes to be all positive about that. All right, I will talk to you on Monday. I am so excited to see the guys in less than a week in person again. So looking forward to that. I hope you all have a great weekend. Watch some Blues hockey this weekend. And like always, let's go Blues.